Cisco, pretty freaking rocking about how they did. So first of all, I always like to net it out: beat, raise, right? And it doesn't get any better than that. And the great part about the beat, that the beats were in line with what it had done the previous 3 quarters. So it wasn't some declining beat. Okay. And I do give credit for that. And, it's funny. During the pandemic, if you remember, Cisco's CEO, Chuck Robbins, always talking about durable demand, right? And that was the big question, right? Is were people double ordering, right? After the pandemic, were they going to keep those orders in? And you know what? Here we go. I mean, second highest revenue quarter ever, record net income, record EPS, record cash. And I was asked by a couple journalists and folks in investment industry, hey, do you think this forecast, this raise is durable? And all I have to do is look at that $32 billion in RPOs, which indicates to me a super heavy backlog. So this was really about networks. Okay. Networks were rocking it, up 14%, really driven by Catalyst 9K and 8K. Mass infrastructure was down a little bit. Collab was way down. But I do want to, and by the way, collab being way down, totally get it, right? People are going back to work. I wouldn't expect it to be a barn burner. Tough compares as well to previous quarters when we were all locked inside. I do want to talk a little bit about software, though, right? Software revenue and software revenue subscriptions were both up double digit, which I think too many people forget and lump in Cisco as, just an infrastructure company. But when you look at the type of software they have, like security and observability, these are cutting edge capabilities that work in the hybrid multi-cloud. And I can't shut up about fabrics and the hybrid multi-cloud, but that is the future. Whether it's Cloudera for data fabric, Cisco maybe for networking fabric, or maybe VMware, right, for that. And then you've got the fabrics for application with the VMwares and the Red Hats. But company has a good future, and I love to see this durable demand. People are still buying, Dan, and we should all be pretty excited about that.
Yeah, I agree with you, Pat. I was worried. I'm not going to lie. I was worried heading into earnings on how the OEMs would do. We kind of keep hearing about the slowdown. We keep hearing about the recession. We keep hearing about how tech is going to get hammered. But then I remembered I'd already called this. And I was like, wow, I'm really smart. No. Well, yes. But I already said what's old is new. And I know that's not popular, but I went on Market Watch 6 months ago. I called out exactly companies like Cisco, HPE, Dell, infrastructure. Not
Victory Lap. We need
I said those parts of the business were going to do well.
Button,
and I said that to be clear, because companies are going to be doubling down on existing infrastructure. They're going to be sharpening it up. They're going to be prepping it for utilization. They're going to be increasing things like data transport, analytics tools. They're going to be trying to maximize software investments. They want to implement AI tools. You can't do it without a backbone. All this stuff requires data to be moved around. Guess what moves data around? You need networking. Guess who does networking? Cisco. And so, sometimes you just got to kind of step back from the pundits and go, if you can't discern the fact that a slowdown in PC sales and a slowdown in infrastructure are not interdependent, there is no dependency between these two things. While companies are going to be busy slowing down maybe subscriptions to SaaS services and maybe buying less PCs and not as many mobile devices, what they're not going to be slowing down is figuring out ways to implement the data that their companies have meaningfully to get better outputs. And Pat, you and I spent some time over at Cloudera this week, talking to them. And one of the things I think that companies like Cisco are going to be really leaning into is the data layer.
Yeah.
And even getting into more data tools. And Cisco has already shown some of their ambition there, big observability moves within the company, what they're doing, Thousand Eyes and AppD. Of course, you've got the they almost bought Splunk. If it says something about where they're directionally heading, and don't get me wrong, that was very close to happening. So you look across the business and you go, it's really, really healthy. You called out the backlog. That was a great call. It was good to see, by the way, that the if you're kind of looking at the recessionary impacts, well, you know what, they grew in every region. And in fact, in the US, they grew the fastest. So that's another good indicator. You're seeing strength across most of the business units. Probably the one thing that continues to worry me a little bit is the collaboration slowdown. And mostly it only worries me because Cisco's collab never really saw the boost the other saw. So it was always a more steady sort of process throughout the
pandemic. It is
pandemic.
the market share leader, though. So it is the market share leader for enterprise. So maybe you're talking large numbers.
And as people look at that, by the way, and I want to be very clear, they have a huge collaboration business, but there is a big chunk of that that's enterprise calling and contact center. It's not all. It's not. So what I'm saying is, you're kind of
that's fair. I know what you're saying.
Teams, Zoom, and everyone's doing a little different thing. It's kind of like all the companies calling out their cloud market share, but putting different things into their cloud numbers.
Fair.
The parts of the business, and I guess I'll leave it here besides networking, is I love Cisco as a security play. I absolutely love the company. I love security right now. I think this is an area that's going to continue to grow and expand. Companies cannot look away from security. Can't look away from networking because you can't do any of the stuff with data, but you also need to secure your perimeters. You need to secure your edges. You need to secure your devices, and you need to do it at the infrastructure level, and then you're going to need to do it all the way out. And Cisco has a pretty significant portfolio to handle that. I also like their direction in software. It's been steady, single digit, usually high single digit growth, but that part of the business was kind of criticized for a long time. Is there enough software and ARR opportunity? And those numbers have continued to steadily go up. So it's a little bit of a love fest here, Pat. It's a little bit of a love fest, but frankly,
you got to call it, man. I mean, I don't feel bad because
Cisco deserves it. They deserve it.
Yeah, exactly.
This time, sometimes we got to be tough love, and this time it's just straight up hugs and love. The good stuff. So
yeah,